Spencer of Bodyshot Performance. Thanks for tuning into this week's blog, Why the One-Size-Fits-All approach won't help you to lose weight. So if you gave a diet to 20 different people and you gave them the same length of time and all the conditions were the same, you get 20 different results at the end of it. And that's because we're all very different. Different intellectually, emotionally, genetically, physically. And because of that, that one-size-fits-all approach simply is outdated. It's not something we should follow anymore. There are now DNA tests available and various other ways of testing for you specifically. So what are you intolerant to? What are you sensitive to? What kind of food did you get on with? What fits your genetic profile best? And that's where the clever money is now. It's on personalising your diet. But there's a few other reasons why the one-size-fits-all doesn't work anymore. And one of those is the oversimplification of the eat less, move more school of thought. And I'll admit, several years ago, before I got into health and fitness, I was of that eat less, move more, why is it so difficult school of thought. But actually, we know a lot more than that now. Bad information has been passed down over the years, misinformation as well. For example, in the 70s, we were encouraged to believe that fat was the demon, so avoid fat at all costs. We now know that not to be true. And I podcasted about this very recently, which I'll link to at some point here. We know that fat is not the demon. We know that carbohydrates and protein aren't either, but they're all valuable macronutrients. They all have a role to play in our nutrition. We also know now that a calorie is not a calorie, so the body reacts differently to a calorie of fat as it does a calorie of protein or a calorie of carbohydrate, for example. So it responds differently. So we need to be aware of that, but no one macronutrient is bad. So there's a number of reasons why that oversimplification of the eat less, move more simply isn't valid anymore. But we also now understand the role of genetics. So as I said, there are DNA tests available that look at exactly the right type of diet for you based on your unique genotype. And it'll also tell you what the right type of exercise is that you'll respond to best according to your genes. So we can get that degree of information now, that granular level of information. And there's been many studies that have shown the efficacy of DNA testing for example, weight loss under controlled conditions. The obesogenic of the environment is another factor as well. By that I mean it's the way the environment is set up to discourage movement and therefore encourage almost obesity. An example of that are the labour-saving devices we have now. We barely need to move. We've made our living spaces and our working spaces so comfortable that everything is literally within reaching distance. We rarely even have to get up. Communications, mobile communications, transport. You've got buses, trains, trams, tubes, the whole shebang, cars. Most of us own a car now, which of course wasn't the case a few decades ago. So the environment is just set up now to make it difficult for us to maintain a good weight unless we're very focused on it. Social factors as well. The way that we consume fast food, the way that we eat on the run now. A lot of social factors have changed. In the past, we may have sat down every evening to the family table, prepared food, thought about the provenance of it, maybe even said grace if you were religiously minded, but certainly things were slower then. We didn't consume food in the same way we do now. And behavioural factors also. Our behaviours have changed. We have become look for the most convenient thing to do. We often look to shortcut walking by taking the stairs, for example, or the elevator rather than the stairs. So behavioural factors have changed, and all this means that one-size-fits-all approach to dieting simply has changed. We've got to consider all the other factors that contribute to weight gain. But the takeaway message is this. It's very easy now to personalise your diet. If you can't afford or aren't inclined to do things like DNA testing, you can simply do an elimination test to find out what foods cause inflammation in the body and what foods your body responds well to. And it takes time, but ultimately you can do it without spending money. Also think about how much you're moving. Think about your sleep. Think about your energy levels. Think about your digestion, your fitness levels. All of this contributes to weight loss. And I'm often asked what type of diet I follow, and the answer is I don't. My body's found its natural set point because I look after my sleep, I look after my mental health, I look after my energy levels. My body composition is kind of taken care of because I pay attention to digestion and fitness as well. But the type of diet that you'll respond best to is simply the one that you can stick to. So start small, build on it over time, and ultimately make it personal. Thanks for watching.